Hey, how's it going?
Milk? Sugar?
Both. I need some emotional support in liquid form if I'm covering a movie about a guy faking mob hits.
I did a movie like that once. This guy sees a murder.
Yeah, I know. It's literally why you're in this script. I'm trying to finish this episode before Friday.
Good luck.
Thanks. My upload schedule is basically duct tape, panic, and caffeine.
Here you go.
Perfect. The only thing missing is a therapist and maybe a second editor?
You're crazy.
I run a nostalgia channel. Sanity left somewhere between Troll and Iron Eagle. You wouldn't last a day doing this.
I didn't say I couldn't pull it off.
Buddy, you can barely make it through your own movie. But sure, if you want to help, go grab that camera or sit down and start helping me edit.
Christ, you've seen too many movies. Just out of curiosity, when would this have to happen?
By Friday? The show comes out every week, so we have like a week. If you combine our brain cells, we might have enough to roll a rough cut.
It requires skill, precision, and timing. I couldn't teach you to do what I do in a week and expect you to pull it off.
Skill, precision, timing? Yeah, none of that is in my channel. Underprepared overconfidence is the whole brand. Can we just start on next week's episode, please?
Who's the we?
The we is you and me. But mostly me. Fine. Entirely me. Welcome back to 40 Frames Ago, the show where we turn back the clock 40 years to uncover the cult favorites, bold experiments, and cinematic curiosities that define the era. Hey everyone, I'm Jim. Last week we laced up and hit the ice with Youngblood, and this week we're cranking up the tension with FX. This clever, understated thriller didn't blow up at the box office, but it built a dedicated cult following thanks to its innovative hook, tightly wound suspense, and Brian Brown's turn as a special effects master pulled into a deadly, real-world setup. It's full of practical wizardry, smoky atmosphere, and that gritty, stylish edge the decade wore so well. If you're new to the show, here's the rundown. Every week we wind the clock back exactly 40 years to the day the film premiered and dive into everything surrounding it. The cast, the crew, the physical media releases, and the weird, fascinating, forgotten bits I dig up along the way. Then I wrap up with my thoughts after revisiting the film. Let's rewind to the 6th week of 1986. I'm standing outside the theater and the smell of popcorn hits me like a time machine, and suddenly I'm not in 2026 anymore. It's Friday night, February 7th, 1986. And that lobby, it's buzzing. People are flipping through newspapers, checking out showtimes, arguing about reviews, and trying to decide what their $4 should buy them. I'm looking up at that marquee, and we've got 2 brand new releases lighting up this week. Yay! FX and Hannah and Her Sisters. Let's see. FX, shadows, smoke, explosions, and the promise of movie magic. Or Hannah and Her Sisters, a Woody Allen film with warm colors, familiar faces, and the kind of ensemble drama that critics are already whispering about. If you had just one ticket in your hand, one shot to make up your weekend pick, what are you going to go with? All right, time to leave 1986 behind for a second. Let's head back to the computer and see what the box office actually had to say. Down and Out in Beverly Hills holds on to the #1 spot at the box office this week, and it's actually gained a little momentum, pulling in $15.5 million so far. The Color Purple continues to expand its reach, adding 548 more theaters, which helps it stay strong in the #2 position. Murphy's Romance, which stars Sally Field as a feel-good romance movie, breaks out of its limited release and lands in 3rd place. Meanwhile, FX, one of our 2 new big releases this week, had a modest but respectable debut at around $4 million. And Hannah and Her Sisters launches in just 54 theaters, so it's playing the long game before its wider expansion. As for Youngblood, which we covered last week, it takes about a 30% drop in grosses. And The Best of Times, which I completely forgot to mention last week, also slides about 30%. That one stars Robin Williams and Kurt Russell as two friends trying to relive a high school football game. And honestly, it's interesting how many sports films we're seeing in such a short window of time. We've got Youngblood and The Best of Times releasing at the same week, and then we also have, in just 2 more weeks from now, Wildcats, a football comedy. And then there's also Rocky IV, it's just hanging around in the top 10. We're having a little sports movie wave happening here. It's very interesting. Now, as far as what I should watch this week, we've got 2 options, and I haven't seen either one of them, but I'm going to go with FX. The premise of this one has just got it's got a nice hook. Movie magic meets real world danger, and I'm curious to see how it all plays out. So, since we're focusing on FX, let's go check out that poster. The FX poster has great throwback style that immediately sells the tone for what kind of movie you're getting. It feels very industrial, gritty, and mechanical, almost like you're peeking through security tape footage. The stark contrast, the sharp metallic textures, and the cold grayscale palette all work together to tell you this isn't a flashy blockbuster, it's a thriller. The poster has the description on it here, and you can actually read it on this poster. Rolly Tyler, he's this movie's best special effects man. Now, somebody wants him to do it for real. But is he the weapon or the victim? Is it murder or is it FX? I also have some other posters. Here's the home release. You can see that they ditched the original artwork and went with a poster highlighting the actors. And here's a cleanup version of that one. I also have 2 foreign posters. I don't know why, but I always seem to enjoy the foreign posters a little bit more. This one's from Japan. I think it's much improved over the original. And then this one's from Hungary, and I think it's extremely awesome. I love the artwork. It is so neat. All right, before we dig into the movie some more, let's go to IMDb and see what the story is really about. And according to IMDb, this movie is about a movie special effects man is hired to fake a real-life mob killing for a witness protection plan, but finds his own life in danger. My first thought about this movie after reading the description is that this must be about staging a crime for someone or some sort of government outfit and then becoming the target yourself. So it's like a cover-up movie. It immediately gives off that hunters become the hunted vibe. It sounds similar to that plot U.S. Marshals, the 1998 Tommy Lee Jones, Wesley Snipes movie, well, without the special effects part. I mean, even though that movie comes out in the future from now, it's just what it reminded me of. Let's take a deep dive into the cast and crew, and we'll start out with the cast. I want to take a moment to spotlight a few key members of the cast. Not everyone, but some of the names you'll recognize or at least find interesting when we look back at FX today. Let's start with Brian Brown, who stars as Rolly Tyler, the special effects whiz at the center of the story. By 1986, Brown had already carved out a strong reputation both in Australia and internationally. His breakout role was in Breaker Morant, and it put him on the map as a serious dramatic actor, earning critical praise for his intensity and grounded performance. A few years later, he reached an even wider audience with the hugely popular miniseries The Thornbirds, which earned him award nominations and made him a recognizable face around the world. By the mid-80s, Brown had become one of Australia's most successful acting exports, charismatic, rugged, and versatile. After FX, Brown continued to build a steady, wide-ranging career across film and television. He appeared in the sequel FX2, reprising his role as Rolly Tyler, and he kept working consistently in both Hollywood and Australian productions. His filmography through the 90s and 2000s includes titles like Cocktail, opposite Tom Cruise, Along Came Polly, and Australia. Brian Denny came into the mid-80s already established as one of the great American actors. Before this point in his career, he built a reputation for playing tough, layered authority figures, roles that made full use of his physical presence and that unmistakable, resonant voice. He broke through in a big way with First Blood, going head-to-head with Stallone as the sheriff, and following it up with memorable turns in films like Gorky Park and Silverado. By the time the mid-80s rolled around, Denny was the kind of actor who could walk into a scene and instantly give it weight. After this era, Denny's career only grew more impressive. He became one of the rare performers who moved seamlessly between film, television, and stage, and he excelled in all three. On television, he delivered some of the most acclaimed work, earning 2 Golden Globe Awards. The first was for To Catch a Killer, where he portrayed serial killer John Wayne Gacy with that chilling restraint. The second came for Death of a Salesman, reprising his celebrated Broadway performance as Willie Loman, a role that also earned him a Tony Award and cemented him as one of the definitive interpreters of Arthur Miller's tragic everyman. Denny continued to take on a wide range of roles through the 90s and 2000s, from blue-collar fathers to hardened detectives to complex villains, always bringing authenticity and emotional heft. His stage work remained a major part of his legacy, with acclaimed performances in Long Day's Journey into the Night, Inherit the Wind, and other classics that showcase the full depth of his talent. He kept working steadily well into his later years, maintaining the same commitment and presence that defined his earlier career. Brian Denny passed away in April of 2020. He was 81. He left behind a remarkable body of work and a reputation as one of the most respected and versatile character actors of his generation. His legacy spans genres, mediums, and decades, a career built not on flash, but on substance, craft, and sheer presence. And now that we've met the cast who survived all those rubber bullets and those fake explosions, let's talk about the people who actually built the chaos. Okay, when we're talking about the crew, we should probably start with the director, Robert Mandel. Before FX, Mandel was primarily known for stage work and film school projects, not big studio thrillers. FX was his first major feature, and he came out swinging. The success of FX helped launch his directing career, and he later worked steadily in both film and television, including directing Touch and Go, released later in this year in 1986, a film about a hockey player. Wait, another sports movie coming out this year?
Huh?
It's the year of sports movies. And he also directed School Ties, released in 92, starring Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, and Chris O'Donnell. He also did some TV work, directing episodes of shows like The X-Files and Prison Break. I love that show. Let's highlight Carl Fullerton, the special makeup supervisor on FX. Fullerton is an accomplished American makeup artist. Before working on FX, Fullerton already had an impressive background. He trained under legendary makeup master Dick Smith. And by the early 80s, he had contributed makeup effects for films like Spasms, The Hunger, Ghost Story, and Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, the last of which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Makeup. After FX, Fullerton's career only grew stronger. He went on to work for some of the most iconic films of the late 80s and 90s, including Broadcast News, Goodfellas, The Godfather Part 3, Glory, and The Silence of the Lambs, for which he won a Saturn Award for Excellence in Special Effects Makeup. He later earned a second Oscar nomination for Philadelphia in 1993. Over the decades that followed, Fullerton became a go-to makeup artist for major productions, contributing to films and a slew of Denzel Washington films like Training Day, Man on Fire, The Equalizer, and Flight. And finally, Miroslav Ondrejek, the cinematographer from the Czech Republic. He is one of the few major names in this crew, an accomplished cinematographer known for his collaborations with director Milos Forman on films like Ragtime and Amadeus, which he was nominated for an Academy Award for both of these movies. After FX, Ondrejek went on to work on projects like Funny Farm and A League of Their Own. Unfortunately, Ondrejek passed away at the age of 80 in 2015, but his legacy lives on with a film academy in the Czech Republic named after him that specializes in cinematography. Okay, enough talking about the cast and crew. Let's go check out the disc and its features. I was about to pull the trigger on the FX FX2 Blu-ray double feature when I came across this. I ordered this about 2 months ago and I've been patiently waiting to show it to you so we can review it. So let's dive in. As for special features in this box set, it's genuinely impressive. You could tell a lot of care went into put into this release. The only catch is that you could only get this in England. Why don't we get this cool stuff in the US? It's beyond me. And this isn't the first time this has happened. So if you want this set, no problem, you can get it on Amazon, but you do need a region-free player. My Panasonic UB820 4K player handled it just fine. You just have to do this little trick to make it work. Drop a little comment in the section down below if you need some help with this. The extras are stacked. You get this 60-page collector's book filled with great production stills, and you also get some reversible artwork poster. This here. There's also a sticker pack with some of Rolly Tyler's films, which is a fun touch. On the disc, you get an interview with makeup effects supervisor Carl Fullerton, another with director Robert Mandel, production notes, the trailer, and a handful of other goodies. The only thing I really wished that they included was a commentary track from someone who actually worked on this movie. I haven't dug into FX2 yet, and I'm saving that for when I watch the sequel, but I'll check out the special features for that one when the time comes. If you're interested in getting this copy of FX, I'll link it in the show notes below. I've included the double feature Blu-ray copy that you can get here in the US as well if you don't want to get this Region 2 box set. Now that we have the disc, let's go over to the movie room and give FX a watch.
Yeah, this is 40 frames ago.
Dropping back into this era of filmmaking always reminds me of why I love doing this show. Even when the movie isn't perfect, and this definitely isn't, you can feel the effort. You can see the hands that built the effects, the stunt teams sweating through the setups, the makeup artists and the production designers trying to make every frame look lived in. It's refreshing compared to the CGI overload we get today. There's even a line in the movie that made me laugh. Nobody cares about making movies about people anymore. They only care about special effects. Hearing that now almost feels backwards. I'm out here begging for more practical effects and fewer digital blobs. I'm burnt out on CGI. The movie opens with a woman doing vocal warm-ups, and honestly, it's not too far off for some people I know. And right after that, there's a great little joke that slides right by if you're not paying attention. Roland Tyler offers Special Agent Lipton a cup of coffee until he hears his last name. Then suddenly it's, oh, Lipton? You want a cup of tea? I think it's kind of a small human humor I love. But let's talk casting. I'm convinced they were hoping Brian Brown would be some kind of rugged sex symbol. They've got him shirtless in underwear, lounging around like they're trying to sell posters to teenage girls. It just doesn't work for me. And look, I'm sure the budget played a role in this, but he's just not that great here. The dialogue already feels awkward, and his delivery makes it even rougher. With a more mainstream actor in the lead, this movie could have landed a lot better. Meanwhile, Brian Denny and Mason Adams stroll in and act circles around everyone. The writing isn't doing them any favors, but they elevate every scene that they're in. And a shout out to Josie de Guzman, who plays as the secretary cop. She's only in a few scenes, but she nails it. Although, let's just say her coworker would be facing some very solid HR issues today. One of my favorite surprises was a remote-controlled sailboat park and the entire warehouse dedicated to them. Was this a real thing? Is it still a thing? Because that looked like the most wholesome 80s hobby imaginable. Now, on to audio. Yeah, I wish this had a proper sound mix. We're stuck with flat 2.0 and it shows. But the action scenes still managed to shine. The van chase in the middle is fantastic, especially the meat market stunt. And the finale where Rolly Tyler pulls out that trick with his effects toolbox and taking down all the bad guys is genuinely fun. Music-wise, we get 2 songs. Heart of Rock and Roll by Huey Lewis and the News, which plays for like 3 seconds. Just long enough to remind you how good he is. And then the end credit song, Just an Illusion by the Imagination, it's pretty good. I just wish there's a little bit more featured music in this movie. Where the movie struggles is the story. It skips beats, leaves holes, and assumes we'll just fill in the blanks. Characters desperately need more backstory. And it's like the script is a rough draft that no one really got around to finishing. And honestly, the movie doesn't really get good until Brian Denny shows up, which is like 40 minutes in. But here's the thing, I still liked it. There's enough charm, enough practical craft, and enough 80s weirdness to keep me engaged. And yes, I'll absolutely watch the sequel in 1991, if we make it that far in this timeline. Flashback fact. In this movie, we see posters for Rambo, First Blood Part 2. Brian Denny, who plays the hard-nosed cop Leo McCarthy in this movie, played the main crooked cop Teasel in the first Rambo movie, First Blood. Alright, time to cue that final effect, the one where you hit that like and subscribe. Don't worry, no wires, no rigs, no squibs involved, just pure old-fashioned viewer support. Next week, we're heading into week 7 of 1986, leaving behind the smoke and mirrors of the world of FX, and jumping into Wildcats, where the only trick is the one life throws at you. A whole new energy, a whole new underdog story, and a coach who's about to prove everyone wrong. Well, that's a wrap on our trip back to 1986 with FX. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did you catch this one back in the day, or is this your first time stepping behind the curtain of movie magic? I'd love to hear your take. And until next time, keep your squibs primed and your smoke machines humming, and I'll see you in the rewind.
Drifting through the afterglow, the color